What is going on, everybody? Hello, hello. I am Mugen. Welcome back to another episode of my mental health weekly updates. Um, in my most recent story on Instagram, I had posted that there was a recent scare, and the reason why there was a recent scare was I when my dad and other family members that passed away, I ended up developing kind of like I guess like a separation anxiety, and it's been very very hard to cope with. Because the people that are the constants in my life, I want to stay in my life. So, like my mom, my kids, my wife, like all those people that are really close to me. My now mother's fiance. Um, I I have a hard time with having distance be between us or being away from someone for like a long period of time. So the person that actually affects me probably the worst would be my wife. The reason why I value my wife in so many ways. But one of the ways that I greatly appreciate her is that she's always there for me. So, regardless as to whether I'm doing great or I'm failing or I'm having an episode or whatever the case may be, she's always been that one constant that's there to support me and help me through whatever it is that I'm going through. Um, so for those of you that haven't seen the other episode, the previous episode to this, my brother ended up moving to Texas, and he actually ended up getting there just a few days ago, from today, which is the 7th. So I'm having a hard time still kind of processing the fact that he's no longer here in Florida. But I mean, it is what it is. So this scare that I had, it was um, it was pretty damn scary for me. So I have this aura ring, and it um, helps me understand my stress levels. It helps me understand what I'm stressing out about. Helps me keep and keep track of my heart rate and a whole bunch of other shit that helps me just calm down. So if I know something's wrong, I'll focus on something else, or I'll try and focus on my breathing, and just do things to help bring me down. Anyways, so my last week Tuesday, my wife woke me up in a panic, of course, which is horrible for someone who has an anxiety disorder. She had woken me up at like 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, stating that her aunt was in the hospital and she's on a ventilator. Now, my curtain moved on its own. All right, so my my wife's aunt was in the hospital, and she was on the ventilator. So of course, I told her, "Damn, I'm really sorry to hear that." I I do feel bad for her, yes, but truthfully, I don't have a relationship with her aunt. I personally didn't have feeling towards her for anything, only because of other family issues that I'm not really going to discuss here. Um, so so she ended up saying, like, we're gonna have to go to the hospital, whatever. So anybody that knows me, I don't like hospitals, period. Like, I don't. So hospitals I don't really care for, and then on top of that, I I personally didn't really care for her. So if I were to go, it would literally just be in support of my wife, which was fine. I planned on doing that. So as the day went on, because I had to work and I was working a half day up until 12 o'clock Eastern time, I it sounded like she was just getting progressively worse throughout the day, which is to be assumed. And I asked her, I said, listen, I said, I'm not by no means trying to be an asshole when I say this. I get that you're hurting. I get that, whatever. But, like, if we're on the way to the hospital and she ends up passing, are you still wanting to see her? And there's a reason why I asked that. It's not because I didn't want to go. It's because, coming from someone who has lost so many people, the last thing that I want to see is them literally on their deathbed. Like I don't want that to be the last image of my head. If I can erase my father scrawny at 146 pounds with his mouth like in the bed, just dead like that, that would be great. But I can't. And although in one sense I'm glad that I got to see him, in another I wish that I didn't. Um, because for anybody that knows my dad, he was easily 190 plus pounds. He was thick, kind of. He had a six pack beer belly, anyways. But I love my dad, anyways. Um, so I asked her, I was like, are you sure like you're wanting to go and see her, um, even if she passes? And she says, I don't know. I said, okay. I was like, so it sounds to me like you're only going really in support of your mother, but at the same time, kind of knocking two birds out with one stone. She goes, I don't know, kind of, I guess. I don't know. So I said, that's fine, whatever. Like we can still go. I just wanted to see where your head's at. So we were waiting for my kids to get home from school, so we can go. So my daughter gets out, like 4:30, or gets home around like 4:30 ish, almost 5. So we ended up, you know, I ended up, gaming or doing whatever for a couple hours while periodically checking on my wife because she ended up falling asleep on the couch. And when I think it was like 3:30 ish, 3:30 ish, she ended up getting a message that her aunt had passed. So I was like, of course, I apologized for her loss. I asked her, I said, hey, are you still wanting to go? Because we can still go. And she said no. She goes, it makes no sense to now. And then that was it. So like an hour passed by, and she got message that her mom was going to be at her brother's house. Now her brother lives about 45 minutes away from me. I was okay with about a half hour drive to the hospital. I know that 15 minutes for some people isn't really a long thing, but I have an issue with being in a car for so long. I don't like to travel long distances. And I just, for some reason, put myself in a panic. And it's not intentionally, it's just what my body does and what my mind does. I try to talk myself out of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we're on this ride already for about 20 minutes, 25 ish minutes. And there's like a little roundabout, about the halfway point to getting to his house. So I slightly passed that, and I told my wife, I was like, I can't do this. Like I'm having such a hard time, and I'm getting the jitters, I'm getting the cold sweats. Like I have to turn around. So I turned around, and of course she was upset, and I was just like, I was super apologetic, and I was just like, you know what? I said, let me just suck it up and go. Like I can do this. Like I know I can do this. So I turned around and went to go back to her brother's house after driving like 2 or 3 minutes up the road. So I go back, and again my stomach just sinks, my heart just like is like beating out of my chest, and I just couldn't do it. And I was having such a hard time. So I'm on my way. I told her, I said, babe, I said, I'm really sorry. I love you, and I really am trying, but I just can't make this right now. And my body's not letting me. So she tells me instinctively, which is, I totally get it. She was frustrated. She tells me, she goes, when we get back to the house, I am going to leave, and I am going to go see my mom. And I said, that's fine, whatever. And in my panic mode, I was like, I'll just take, something to help me sleep, and you can go, whatever. And so we ended up getting back home, and literally, dude, the minute that we got home, she dips, like dips. And that, I was fine for like the first 10 minutes, and my world was like shutting down. Like it was so bad. And I feel bad for my wife because I put her through this stuff, and it's not, and guys, I'm telling you, like, this is, when people are doing this, it's not something intentional. Like you're literally in flight or fight mode, and it's a really shitty feeling. So I'm panicking. I'm texting her, and of course she's driving, so she can't like reply to me like really quickly. And then And then I was just like, you know what? Let me call her instead. So I call her. I'm like, babe, I'm really having a bad panic attack. I can't do this. Blah blah blah. Like, please, my heart is beating out of my chest. I feel like I'm just gonna throw up. And yeah. So she kept going, and my son ended up reaching out to my ex neighbors, and his name is Danny. One of the coolest people like you'll ever meet. Super genuine, and he went to call me while I was on the phone with my wife, and that I didn't pick up. So my wife ended up I ended up getting frustrated, and I ended up hanging up on my wife, which I did apologize for her and or to her, and Danny actually came over to keep me company. While that actually did help me surprisingly, because normally it doesn't. Like, it has to be like my wife. It did help. My wife ended up being on her way back home around 10:45 at night. Danny had to leave at 11 to go pick up his wife from, or well, go have dinner with his wife. So I was at my house by myself. My kids were sleeping, and my heartbeat was beating so damn fast this whole time. Like, after Danny left, my heart was racing. I looked at my beats per minute. I was like sitting down, mind you, sitting down with my leg propped up on the coffee table. My heartbeat was at like 134 beats a minute. Like, it was freaking nuts. So heartbeat was racing, and I was like, you know what? I said, let me pace around the house. Maybe that'll help. I'll kind of get like, everything circulating, and then maybe it'll drop down my heartbeat. So tried doing that. Chest started getting tight. My hands and my feet started getting cold. It was like, I started to get like dizzy, and I called my wife and I was like, babe, like, where are you? And she told me where she was, and I I had like I had to I was in like flight or fight mode for like 30 solid minutes, and it honestly felt like I was going to die. And it it's scary, dude. Like, my heart, I tried to bring down my heart rate. The lowest that I got it to naturally was 109, 109 beats per minute, and it wouldn't go down any lower. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'm fine. And then I would check again like a few minutes later, boom, right back up to 125. I was like, shit, like, I don't know what to do. So I'm panicking about panicking, and then dude, it was scary. And um, imagine sitting down and having your heart rate be at 130 beats per minute, or even just say, let's say 120 beats per minute for a solid 30 minutes or more, like 30 to 35 minutes, and not doing anything. Like, my chest was so, like, it was sore. Like, I had just ran a marathon and I did absolutely nothing but pace my damn living room. And I I was scared, dude. Like, when she got home, I hugged her. I told her I loved her. I again told her that I was sorry about, the what we went through. And yeah, dude, it was tough. But that night, I had a really hard time going to sleep because, honestly, my chest hurt so bad that I didn't know if I was having a heart attack or about to have a heart attack. And when I brought this up to my psychiatrist, he says, "I know that you said that you don't want to take any controlled substances, but lorazepam will kind of help with, you know, with issues like this to help prevent you from having a heart attack." And I'm just like, eh, like, I'm not a person that likes to take medication. In fact, the medication that I have is mirtazapine and venlafaxine. I have every single pill from desvenlafaxine, and I think I have all but maybe two pills from the mirtazapine that I had, which helps me sleep. And I'm just not a person that likes to take medication. I believe that I can figure out what the hell is going on with myself without needing to take medication. And a lot of the reason is, yeah, a lot of the thing, well, fuck, words. i I'm trying to figure that out by doing this, and we can all help each other. Y'all can help me, I can help you, but um I'm hoping that this helps, because I have a lot of like self realizations when I'm doing stuff. Like I know I start to break things down in my head, like, and then micro break it like break it down microly. Like I hyper focus on stupid shit like that. But yeah, I mean, super scary for me, because it really felt like I was gonna have a heart attack, and it's, man, I don't pray this even on my worst of enemies. I really hope that I really hope that nobody ever has to go through what I go through. I know there are people that do, but this shit sucks, dude. Like it sucks, because it makes you feel like you're not the same person anymore. When in reality you are. It's just like a brain limiter that you put on yourself. But enough about that. I'm okay now. I actually have a new therapist that I'm going to be seeing here on the 13th of April, which is going to be cool. The last one that I got, I vibed with really well, but the issue was is he was leaving and or quitting. Sorry, he was quitting, and yeah. But he was really nice. Ended up giving me like an hour and a half of his time versus the 45 minutes that we were actually scheduled to be on. Um, but hopefully everything works out with this new therapist, and then I've got another psychiatry appointment at the end of this month to follow up. So far everything's looking good. I'm trying a new recording studio thing here, because Streamlabs is ass, and it was making my computer, it felt like it was running really slow, but this actually seems to be working pretty nice. So this is Meld Studio, recommended by a friend of mine named Kaz. He's been my brother for like 20 plus years, man. We've known each other since the third grade. But yeah, so I am going to leave you guys with that. I am going to be planning on doing a video. I am planning on doing a video with a friend of mine. His name is Sean. He's actually going through some stuff, which is cool. We actually got to talk a little bit, and I'm hoping that you guys will welcome him and help with maybe giving him some advice in some of the comments on the video. So with that being said, I love you guys. Thank you guys again so much for joining me on my mental weekly update, and catch you in the next one. See you guys later. Come on, mouse, move, move, mouse, move, move. There we go. Nope. Yeah. No, no, no. And